So, America just launched a coordinated strike on Iran's nuclear infrastructure. The world is watching. Oil prices are spiking, and now the real threat may be already inside our borders. Tom Homan, the man responsible for immigration enforcement under President Trump, is warning the country. Sleeper cells tied to Iran may already be in place, ready to activate. And this isn't a guess. This is based on evidence found at our border, and it's a direct consequence of Joe Biden's open door chaos. While the media obsesses over the Middle East, they're ignoring the truth. Millions have crossed into this country unchecked. And now that Iran is threatening retaliation, we have no idea what's waiting for us and who is being signaled to strike. This is a national security emergency, not a political talking point, and Tom Homan is sounding the alarm. Stay with me, guys. So my name is Tom. I'm with the Daily Beltway. I'm also publisher of the Illinois Review and a White House correspondent for the Next News Network. Over the weekend, President Trump authorized a joint military operation with Israel, striking Iran's most sensitive nuclear sites, Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan. I can't pronounce that one right. The White House called it a decisive action to eliminate Iran's ability to build nuclear weapons. Iran responded immediately, promising revenge. And that's where the real danger begins. Go ahead and check this out. Tom Homan, Trump's border czar, issued a grave warning during a Fox News interview. Let's check it out.
Can you assess that issue, particularly how many Iranians are in the country that are in sleeper cells trying to do bad to America right now?
Well, look, you and I have talked about this many times. I said the last 4 years, my biggest concern was this open border was the biggest national security vulnerability this country's ever seen. So I pulled numbers this morning just from a CBP under Joe Biden. There was 1,272 nationals of Iran released in the country between OFO and the Border Patrol. And you compare that to the Trump administration, zero. Right, zero releases. And right now, because of President Trump's leadership, we have the most secure border in my lifetime, most secure border in the history of this nation. So we have a secure border. That was President Trump's big win on securing this nation. So we're not releasing people in this country. Special interest aliens aren't crossing that border undetected. But under Joe Biden, we had over 10 million people cross that border. But my biggest concern from day one, beyond the fentanyl, beyond the sex trafficking women and children, were the 2 million known gotaways. Over 2 million people crossed that border. We don't know who they are, where they came from, because they got away, because Border Patrol was so overwhelmed with the humanitarian crisis that Biden created. That
I don't think we're going to know the full consequences of who came in across the border and all this craziness. Continue.
Over 2 million people crossed the border and got away. That is my biggest concern, and that's what created the biggest national security vulnerability this country's ever seen.
And you have that on surveillance, seeing people get away. Do you have a sense of where they went?
No, intelligence community under President Trump has been on this since day one. What gives me any comfort at all is that you don't have Christopher Wray there. You got Kash Patel there. You don't have Alejandro Mayorkas there anymore.
Terrible.
You got Kristi Noem, and you certainly don't have Kamala Harris as a border czar. So President Trump brought a great team, been on this since day one. Do we know?
I just hope that they are doing what they need to do. So according to Tom Homan, over 1.2 million Iranian nationals were released into the U.S. during Biden's time in office. He said those individuals came into a country at a time when Iran was ramping up threats, testing weapons, and building alliances with America's enemies. Under President Trump, not a single person was released. But it gets worse. Border agents have found Iranian passports and prayer rugs discarded in the deserts, clear signs of infiltration routes. Homan says these are not harmless migrants. They are potentially trained operatives slipping into the interior of the country. And then there's a number no one wants to talk about. Over 2 million gotaways, people who crossed into the U.S. and vanished. No records, no background checks, no idea of where they went. That's not immigration. That's a breach of national security. The Department of Homeland Security has already issued a global caution to America's overseas, warning of possible retaliation. But what if that retaliation is already here? What if it's waiting in a suburb, at a train station, or inside a federal building? And this isn't speculation. We've been through this before. And when America lets its guard down, the price is always high. So if you guys got value from this news update, tap subscribe. My opinion is next. Should be a fun one. So Tom Homan's warning isn't about the southern border. It's about whether we're serious about defending this republic. For years, we heard that border security was a humanitarian issue, that it was about compassion. But now we're seeing the other side of the lie. And we all know it was about Democrats getting extra congressional seats. So let's continue. We're seeing how a weak border becomes a weapon used against us. President Trump's strike on Iran was bold. Bold action invites a response. And if Iran's response is domestic terror, delivered by sleeper cells we failed to detect by sleepy Joe Biden, then this country will be forced to reckon with the consequences of ignoring warnings like Homan's. Thankfully, the adults are back in charge, men and women who take threats seriously, leaders who see the connection between who enters our country and whether we stay safe. It's not racist, it's not political, it's reality. Now it's time for America to wake up, rebuild the wall, reinforce our intelligence, and put every enemy on notice. We are not a soft target. But if we fail to act, we may not get another warning. But the cool thing is, most of us are gun owners. And if they F around, they're going to find out that most Americans will not take this sitting down. God bless.